Hi there, this is Pride Weekly. We'll start with Monday. A councillor for the Conservative Party who tweeted during Pride Month, "Pride is not a virtue but a sin," and threw in a reference to Satan for good measure, has had his suspension lifted. King Lawal said the post was an expression of his Christian faith, and he was just quoting the Bible. Nothing to see here, winky face emoji. The 31-year-old's been reinstated to North Northamptonshire Council after a complaints process was concluded. Here's his take.
It was biblical truth. Some people found it hateful. I'm in no way discriminatory. What I posted was a mere reaction to what I saw on Twitter that morning on Pride Month, and it was showing some sorts of very, very distasteful and shocking scenes of naked men in the streets, all this very, very sexualised with kids onlooking.
Always have to bring children into it. There was a silent protest from Labour councillors as Lawal made a statement about his return during a meeting. They stood up and wore rainbow sashes. Asia's biggest Pride event's taking place over the weekend in Taiwan, with the turnout about 60,000 up on last year. The parade theme was recognising diversity and accepting different gender identities. It's thought 180,000 people were on the streets of the capital Taipei. Comes just months after the country gave adoption rights to same-sex couples. And there's another push for a national museum of LGBTQ+ history and culture in America to preserve and protect queer stories. An effort to do something similar back in 2013 didn't come off, but Democrat politician Mark Pocan's having another go in the face of what he calls unprecedented attacks and attempts to erase our history. America's brought in over 80 laws targeting queer people this year. It's Pride Daily for Tuesday. It's over 3 months now since two members of the 1975 had an illegal same-sex kiss on stage in Malaysia, but the repercussions continue. Matty Healy and Ross MacDonald got facially intimate to protest against the country's strict anti-LGBTQ+ laws. Being gay there can get you 20 years in prison. The rest of the Good Vibes Festival was cancelled because of it, and now there's claims all gigs will have to have a kill switch to cut the power to avoid similar incidents. Matty spoke about the hoo-ha during a concert in Texas a few weeks ago, and he ain't backing down.
The idea that it's incumbent upon artists to cater to the local cultural sensitivities of wherever they've been invited to perform sets a very dangerous precedent. If you invite dozens of Western performers into your country, they'll bring their Western values with them.
It's also thought there'll now be background checks on artists before they're allowed to perform. Aside from the threat of prison for queer people in Malaysia, there are no anti-discrimination laws, and conversion therapy is common there. Children in Hungary are banned from a photo exhibition at the National Museum in Budapest because there's LGBTQ+ content. The country has an anti-queer propaganda law that prevents the display and promotion of homosexuality accessible to under 18s. If you go by what the government there says, the aim of the law is to protect children. Critics say it links being gay with paedophilia. And a whole 12 people have turned out for a Gays Against Groomers rally in America. 12. They're a group of LGBTQ+ people who say they oppose the sexualisation and indoctrination of children, that obsession with kids again. Some Republican politicians were at the demo in Wisconsin. One held up a sign saying, "Groom dogs, not kids." Alexa, play Bigoted Culture War BS, please. It's Pride Daily for Wednesday. This fears an anti-LGBTQ+ group in the US wants to overturn bans on conversion therapy for children across the country. Alliance Defending Freedom's a conservative Christian organisation that's been defined as a hate group. They're giving legal support to a man who's fighting the ban in Washington state, saying it infringes on his rights to freedom of speech and free exercise of religion. If he wins, it could encourage the ADL to try to do the same all over America. Peter Guyditch tells Canada's CBC what his conversion therapist put him through.
I would lie in his lap after being injected with ketamine, and he would nurture me and cuddle me, and this would help heal my inner brokenness. He had me bottle my feces, and he told me I needed to do this to be reminded how gay men had sex, and this would correct my sexuality.
Conversion therapy is where attempts are made to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. The practice doesn't work, and there are full or partial bans on doing this to children in 29 US states. You can get the death penalty for gay sex in Saudi Arabia, but let's just look the other way and award them the 2034 World Cup. The country set to host after rivals Australia pulled out. Amnesty International's calling for human rights commitments from Saudi. The football governing body FIFA has rules forbidding LGBTQ+ discrimination. And a National Football League team in the US has held its very first drag brunch. Earlier this year, the San Francisco 49ers became the first team in America to set up a queer community. They have match-watching parties and other events. The brunch was part of celebrations for LGBTQ+ History Month, with local performers The Vixen and Tala on stage. And a reminder, the world's best drag queen name is Wilma Fingerdo. It's Pride Daily for Thursday. Russell Tovey, Monroe Bergdorf and Rylan are among the celebrities calling for a ban on conversion therapy now. They've signed an open letter from Stonewall telling Rishi Sunak to stop flip-flopping on this. The government's been promising a ban for years. Dr. Ange and Jade from Little Mix also putting the names to this. They say conversion practices are abhorrent forms of abuse and accuse the PM of showing a callous disregard over the delay. Peter Tatchell's an LGBTQ+ activist.
The therapies have been exposed in reports as being very abusive and psychologically damaging. People who undergo conversion therapy tend to have very high levels of anxiety, depression, and even suicidal thoughts.
The letter also accuses the government of failing LGBTQ+ people by encouraging culture wars that make us feel less safe. Gay and bisexual men in Switzerland can finally give blood in the same way straight people do. Now it's a 4-month wait for everyone since having sex with a new partner, or a year if someone slept with 2 or more people in the last 4 months. New rules focus on sexual behaviour seen as risky rather than a particular orientation. Up until 2017, gay and bisexual men in Switzerland weren't allowed to donate. And despite calls from anti-queer knuckle-draggers to have it banned, the Gay Games is about to get started in Hong Kong. They're the first to take place in Asia and Latin America, the co-hosts, with more than 2,300 athletes from 45 countries involved. It's hoped they'll encourage more LGBTQ+ inclusion. China has no anti-discrimination laws for sexual orientation, and same-sex marriage isn't recognised. Lawmakers in China say the Games are a threat to national security. Yes, but only if all the participants come together to form one giant super queer. It's Pride Daily for Friday. A Catholic all-girls school in Sydney's U-turned over a ban on students bringing same-sex dates to prom. St Ursula's College says it's made the decision after meeting with pupils. Nearly 5,000 people had signed a petition in protest. The student behind it, Abby Frankland, can now take a girlfriend to the dance. She says she hopes others can be inspired to challenge discrimination. Abby spoke to 2GB Radio in Sydney before the school backtracked about the impact of the ban.
It doesn't make you feel very good. Like, you feel kind of discriminated against, and it doesn't feel very fair. At the end of the day, we're all still human. We're all still people. They're just ruling out one group, and all we're trying to do is have fun.
So, St Ursula's College being dragged into the 21st century there. I've just Googled St Ursula. Turns out she was a princess, just like me, and her name means little she-bear, just like me. After a trans teenager took his own life, his organs have helped 4 people. 14-year-old Corey Hall died on October 12th in London. He was autistic, had mental health struggles, and was put through transphobic abuse. His mum, Rita Williams, says his kidneys, pancreas, liver and lungs have been donated. A fundraiser for a headstone and flowers topped £10,000. And young people are more likely to smoke cannabis and tobacco, drink alcohol and vape if they're gay, lesbian or bi. A study for the American Medical Association blames it on stress caused by discrimination because of their sexual orientation. Over 28,000 students were surveyed. The findings are similar to previous studies and could be used to better target young queer people and reduce substance abuse. I'm Kev McGrath. See you Monday.